You don't really know yourself. You think you do because you know your name, your habits, your story. But what about the version of you that hides behind every smile? The one who gets jealous, spiteful, passive-aggressive, addicted, withdrawn. The one who fantasizes about control, vengeance, validation. The one you push down every time you try to be a good person. That's not some occasional glitch in your personality, that's your shadow. And Carl Jung warned us, it doesn't just sit quietly in your basement. It moves, it acts, it chooses for you when you're too afraid to choose for yourself. It's the voice that sabotages your relationships, the instinct that keeps you scrolling when you should be building, the surge of emotion you pretend not to feel until it explodes at the wrong moment. You think you've been in control, but you've really just been domesticated, tamed by politeness, trained by fear, and underneath it all, controlled by everything you refuse to look at. Here's the truth. The darker parts of you, your rage, your lust, your selfishness, don't disappear when you suppress them. They become unconscious. They become powerful, and worst of all, they become you, without your permission. Jung didn't say the shadow makes you evil. He said the shadow is what you become when you live in denial. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. So ask yourself this, are your choices really yours? Or are they a reaction to something you don't even want to admit is there? Facing your shadow doesn't make you dangerous, not facing it does. This is the beginning of self-mastery, not the polished, perfect kind. The real kind. The kind where you finally meet the part of you you've been running from and realize it's been running your life all along. So the question is no longer, who are you? The question is, can you face what you've buried and still choose to lead yourself anyway? The descent. What happens when you deny the shadow? You try to be good. You're respectful. You're agreeable. You avoid conflict. You apologize even when you're not wrong. You call it maturity. Society calls it emotional intelligence. Your friends call you the calm one. But deep down, something feels wrong. You feel hollow, tense, invisible. You're constantly drained by people who take more than they give. You say yes with your mouth, but no with your body. You shrink. You conform. You smile through your discomfort. You didn't grow into a good person. You were trained into a powerless one. And the part of you that knew how to say no, you buried him. The part that could draw a line. The part that could roar. The part that could stand unshaken while others disapproved. You didn't kill him, you just pushed him into the dark. But here's the problem Jung warned us about. Anything left in the dark doesn't die, it evolves. Your repressed anger doesn't disappear. It festers until it starts showing up in passive-aggressive texts, or explosive meltdowns that leave you shocked at your own reaction, or silent bitterness that poisons your relationships. Your sexual energy doesn't vanish. It turns into shame, or compulsive behavior, or secret double lives you hope no one finds out about. Your ambition doesn't dissolve. It twists into envy, into resentment of those who have what you don't, because deep down, you know you could have it too if you weren't so damn afraid. This is what Carl Jung meant when he said, the people will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own souls. But the absurdity has a cost. You don't feel whole. You don't feel real, because a sanitized life creates a fragmented self. And when you deny your darker impulses, they don't go away. They just run your life from the shadows. You start losing touch with who you really are. You become indecisive, anxious, controlled by outside opinions. You stop trusting your own instincts because you buried them so deep you can't tell what's real anymore. And one day, without knowing how you got there, you look in the mirror and wonder, who the hell have I become? This is the descent, the quiet spiral into unconscious living, where you're no longer a person, just a reaction to a world you're afraid to confront. But here's the part most people miss. This descent isn't a failure. It's an invitation. You're not meant to stay in the dark. You're meant to go through it, because only in the dark do you meet the parts of yourself you were taught to fear and realize they were never the enemy. They were just waiting for you to come back. The confrontation. How to face the shadow without letting it destroy you. You've avoided the mirror long enough. You know something is off, something buried, something raw, something powerful. And now, you're ready to face it. But this isn't about turning into a monster. This isn't about becoming cold, aggressive, or selfish. This is about integration, not destruction, not domination, but becoming whole. Carl Jung didn't say to unleash your shadow recklessly. He said to confront it with awareness, to give it form so it no longer controls you from the dark. And that means beginning the most uncomfortable but most liberating journey of your life. Step 1. Notice the triggers. Your shadow doesn't hide in silence. It hides in overreactions. When you feel intense anger at something minor, when someone's confidence makes you irrationally jealous, when criticism destroys you more than it should, that's your shadow flinching. These aren't just emotional glitches, they're signals, invitations, maps to your unconscious. Start writing them down. Track your reactions. Ask yourself, what part of me did I learn was unacceptable as a child? What am I pretending not to feel? The shadow doesn't scream, it leaks. Step 2. Kill the illusion of innocence. Stop pretending you're only good. You're not. And that's not a flaw. That's human. If you believe you're incapable of manipulation, hatred, ego, or vengeance, you will project those traits onto others while acting them out unconsciously yourself. That's how good people become toxic. Jung said, "It is a frightening thought that man also has a shadow side to him, consisting not just of little weaknesses but of a positively demonic dynamism. You can't heal what you deny. So look at your darkness, not to indulge it, but to understand it, to reclaim your choices." Step 3. Dialogue with the shadow. This sounds abstract, but it's real. Sit with it, journal, reflect, speak directly to the parts of you you've rejected. That insecure voice you silence, ask it what it wants. That angry part that lashes out, ask what it's been trying to protect. Your shadow is not a villain, it's a wounded protector. It's been trying to keep you safe using ancient tools, defensiveness, aggression, silence, because no one ever showed it how to do better. Now you can. Step 4. Choose power without losing control. Integration means using your shadow consciously. You don't let your rage drive, but you don't keep it locked in the trunk either. You let it speak. You hear it. You give it role, not rule. Anger becomes boundary. Desire becomes focus. Fear becomes fuel. You become dangerous in the right way. Not because you're violent, but because you can't be manipulated. You can say no. You can walk away. You can stand in your truth without needing permission. That's what makes you powerful. Not just your light, but your willingness to own the dark. Carl Jung's greatest warning wasn't about the shadow. It was about people who never meet it. Because those are the ones most controlled by it, and they don't even know. But you're here. You're watching this, which means something inside you is done being asleep. So keep going. The worst pain isn't facing your shadow, it's living your whole life as someone you're not, just to please people who never really knew you anyway. The return, becoming whole without losing your soul. You've walked through the dark. You've looked at your jealousy, your fear, your rage, not as enemies but as messengers. You've seen the face beneath the mask, the one you buried long ago to be liked, to be loved, to be accepted. And now you return, not as the same person, but as someone new, or rather as someone real. This is the moment Carl Jung pointed toward. The integration of opposites, the light and the shadow, the warrior and the healer, the saint and the sinner. You're no longer trying to be only one half of yourself. You're done pretending, done performing, done living only in the parts of yourself the world approves of. Most people think healing means fixing what's broken. It doesn't. Healing means making peace with what you tried to disown. It means saying, "I see you," to your shame, to your trauma, to your selfishness, to your hunger for power, and then choosing not to be ruled by it, but to understand it, to contain it, to use it with purpose. This is not about becoming perfect. It's about becoming complete. Here's what happens when you return with your shadow integrated. You stop apologizing for your boundaries. You stop over-explaining your truth. You stop fearing rejection because you no longer reject yourself. You walk into rooms not to be accepted, but to express. You no longer chase wholeness in relationships, money, or validation because you found it inside. You are now dangerous in the highest sense of the word. You are free. Not because nothing scares you, but because nothing owns you. Carl Jung never promised this path would be easy. He only promised it would be worth it. Because what's the alternative? Live half alive? Smile through resentment? Stay in the prison of politeness, hoping one day the world finally sees you? No, you don't need the world's permission to be whole. You only need your own. So here's the fact. The shadow is not something you overcome. It's something you stand beside. As an ally, a teacher, a source of power. Because in the end, wholeness isn't about being good. It's about being real. And only when you are real can you be truly loved, truly seen, and truly free. The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. Carl Jung. If you're ready to take that first step, to stop sabotaging yourself, to stop living half a life, then keep walking. And don't miss what's coming next, because the next video will show you how to recognize the exact patterns that keep pulling you backward, and how to break free from them for good. Stay consistent, subscribe, and most importantly, stay awake. The journey has just begun.